The Chubby Chernobyl could be the best fly ever created. Ever, 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 ever. That's 4 evers.
That's a big brown bro.
Okay. The Chubby Chernobyl ant. Everybody has fished this fly, arguably the best dry dropper fly ever. Super, super buoyant. The fish eat it. It's like the fly fisherman's dream. I tie mine a little bit differently, but it's mostly due to the hook. So this is a Firehole 618 hook. Now, when Joe sent me these prototypes last summer, I took them out, immediately started catching fish with them. I caught a lot of big fish on them, no issues. They're super sticky, and it's actually a little bit heavier hook. It's a 2x long, little bit heavier wire, like a medium wire hook, so that it will make sure that all of your foam flies will land properly. Not all of them, but you know what I mean. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just by dressing the hook with thread and tie in a little bit of a flash tail. Uh-oh, here comes a savage puppy. Okay, so I'm going to tie in some flash. I'm going to tie it in and fold it over to make sure that it's super secure. And I'm going to take my thread up to the eye of the hook. I'll trim off the flash, I don't know, about like that. Now I like to use 3mm foam for this, and I've trimmed the back of the foam. I've kind of taken some angles off. That's not necessary. But before we put that in, I'm just going to dub the body. I've just got some tan ice dub. You really can use any dubbing for these flies that you want, but ice dub is kind of on the most available of the patterns in the bins, so I decided to use ice dub. So I'll just take the dubbing and I'll kind of build up a bulky body, work back all the way to the tail, and then I'm going to move forward just a little tiny bit with my thread, and that's where my first tie-in point's going to be. So for the foam, I'm going to lay the foam on right about to where the flash is and secure the foam down, and I'm going to actually advance my thread back just a little bit, and that allows me to tie the legs and the wing in a little bit easier. The legs for this one, I'm just going to use some speckled legs. You can use really whatever rubber legs you want, and I like to tie them in just one side at a time, using that little fancy trick. So once they're tied in, you can just trim that one and you're good to go. The wings on these should be really pretty thick. So poly yarn is the best for chubbies, and the best poly yarn in my opinion that's thick is just EP fibers. They work great. You get a whole bunch of them in a pack. So I'm going to take that and just tie the clump down in my tie-in spot. Now to get this to angle back, instead of just piling up a bunch of dubbing in front of it, I'm actually going to take that wing and push it forward a little bit to create a little bulb and tie it down like that. And that will ensure that it's angled back how I want it. And I'll trim it about right there. You can trim it however you want, but this one I'm going to trim a little bit long like that. So if I just trim those legs right now, they would just suck up next to each other. So I'm going to take some more of this dubbing, and I'm going to wrap the dubbing in between the legs to get them to splay out a little better, and also to cover up my thread wraps. All right. So that should be enough to spread the legs out, and then I'm just going to wrap dubbing over the dubbing I've already wrapped and go up about to the eye. now you can tweak your legs a little bit and get them to sit however you want. From here, I'm just going to tie the thread in right behind the eye, and then I'm going to wrap back just a little bit to create a tie-in point there as well. So as you can see, there's a little bit of band of thread, and I'm going to tie in another set of legs and another wing. So I can adjust the length on those legs a little bit if I want. Alright, so that leg is tied in. We'll throw on another wing just like we did the other one. Common mistake is to not tie enough wing facing forward because you have to fold it over back, so better be safe than sorry and tie it in a little bit longer than you really need. And same technique, I'll create a little bubble, tie that down, and I'll trim that wing about halfway through the back wing, just like that. Okay, now I'll just take more thread and I'll wrap enough to cover up the thread wraps. Trim those guys, and then I can just finish it right behind the eye of the hook with a whip finish. Alright, those legs ended up being right about the right length. You can make them longer than that if you want. And then I'm just going to trim the head a little bit long, kind of like that. And I will take off the hard edges and add a little bit of cement. And get it up in the dubbing a little bit too. That'll really seal it down. And anyway, that is a Chubby Chernobyl. Make sure to check out flyfishfood.com for all these materials, and there is a link in the description that shows you where to get all this stuff.